Hello and welcome to the Hellraiser blog. Today's blog going to look at Jack Catterall versus Ohara Davies. Very interesting fight, very evenly matched. Bookmakers got it almost level. I think it's a fascinating fight. I think it's a really good fight. British title fight coming up, and one that's definitely worth looking at. So Ohara Davies, I'll give you some background on him first. Didn't win the ABAs or even the Olympics or anything like that, but had an unbeaten amateur record with a lot of stoppages on it. So you've got to give some credit to that. Catterall Catterall I've seen in a slightly different light because he boxed one of my guys. He boxed a journeyman that I had called Mark McRae. But if anyone remembers Mark McRae, retired a couple of years ago. Mark McRae was a really dangerous fighter, and he had a lot of stoppage wins against unbeaten opponents, and he was definitely dangerous, and he caught Catterall flush more than once and didn't budge Catterall didn't budge him an inch, didn't budge him a millimetre. I mean, Catterall just took it, and I thought Catterall's tactics that night were very clever. He kept McRae working the whole 3 minutes of every round, and he basically outboxed him, but without allowing Mark McRae to set his feet and get his big shots off. Obviously, Ohara Davies would say he's boxing already at a higher level than what Mark McRae was, but I think in that fight you might see the blueprint for what's coming. Catterall, very skillful boxer, very solid, good jab, and can punch a little bit as well. At least hard enough to get respect from his opponents. I think what you're going to see here in this fight is possibly, and I like Ohara. I know he's coming for a lot of criticism for things he's put on social media and stuff, but whenever I've met him, I've always liked him. I hope for his sake that what we see here isn't like in any way a repeat of what happened when he boxed Josh Taylor. I mean, I'd say Taylor is the more skillful boxer than Jack Catterall, but Jack Catterall's very level-headed. He's very consistent, very I'd say hard-wearing. He can hold a punch, and I think certainly if I was training Catterall, I would say, right, well, there's the blueprint: movement, fast hands, chin down, tight guard, and various shots with a lot of side lateral movement. And Catterall is the sort of boxer that could pull that off. So I think going into it, that is going to be Catterall's tactics, because it's already, Josh Taylor didn't like nick it against Ohara Davies. He won it at a canter, really. Felt sorry for Ohara because I think he was just embarrassed, just the way it was unfurling the fight. Whatever he did, it seemed like he was walking on to whatever Josh Taylor had prepared for him. Can Catterall do it as effectively as Taylor? I have doubts, because I think, without wanting to say anything negative about Jack Catterall, because actually, I've been really impressed by him. Certainly when he boxed Mark McRae, I was really, I really noticed him, and I thought, right, that's a guy that's going to do something good. Really was impressed by him. But I think you'd have to say Josh Taylor is the more advanced boxer. And that's what Josh Taylor used to undo Ohara Davies. I mean, he didn't go and stand toe-to-toe with him. He used movement, he used skills. He seemed to have impeccable timing with some of his shots, and he almost like walked Ohara onto punches. Can Catterall do the same? I'd have doubts. I'd say maybe not as effectively, but I actually think he can copy it close enough to cause Ohara Davies a lot of problems, and he needs to, and I think he will. He'll stick to boxing, and the tactics he used against Mark McRae when he boxed him was to actually, a lot of people used to run away from Mark McRae because he was a big boxer, a big puncher. He was a big puncher. He was also a big boxer in my estimation, but he was a big puncher. And because of that, people used to run away from him. Or Jack Catterall actually did. He came towards him, and then, but not in a straight line, then off to the sides. And what it meant was that Mark wasn't able to get the leverage in those big shots. And I think you're going to see Ohara Davies starting to tee off, trying to look to land those big punches. Like I say, Catterall's got a very good chin. He has very good lateral movement, very good upper body movement. For a tall, skinny guy, he bends at the waist a lot. And uses those straight punches. So he's constantly keeping his opponent off balance, which if you're fighting someone that punches like Ohara Davies, you need to have that, and we know he's got it in his repertoire. I've seen it with my own eyes. He can definitely unsettle his opponents. With someone that punches like Ohara Davies, I think it's impossible to say, right, I'm 100%, this is going to happen. You know, this is a problem with doing the blog, is that every week we have to put out a fight, and quite often the fights that I want to analyse, I can't analyse every fight, it takes too long, but sometimes the fights just aren't as one-sided. Sometimes the odds can be level, but the actual fight, you think, well, that's wrong. You know, that's going to be completely one-sided. Well, you can't really say that with this, but I think from a skills point of view, Jack Catterall, I think, will have too much for Ohara. I think Ohara has to cut the space off very early, very, very early in the fight, and not quite stand in front of Catterall, but he certainly needs to be close to him and trying to get around the sides and wear him down with body shots early on, trying to slow Catterall's feet down. Problem with that is Catterall's got very fast hands. He's very good technically, throws straight punches, and also throws his shots, moves his head, throws again, moves his head again. Makes it very awkward for someone that's trying to cut the range down, as we found when Mark McRae boxed him. I actually fancied, before we went up to wherever it was that fight was, I think it was Manchester, something like that, I thought maybe here we have a chance. But every time Mark set his feet, there was like one jab and he was off to the side, or one jab and off to the other side, and then Mark would swing and miss, and then he'd get countered very quickly. And like I say, I was really impressed with Catterall, and I thought, you know, it was with Lee Beard, and I thought, you know, that's one of the better ones I've seen at that time coming through, and it was true. He's ended up now, you know, boxing on a very high level. So in terms of prediction, I'm going to go with Jack Catterall. I'm probably going to go Jack Catterall on points. Could be a late stoppage, but why do I think maybe a stoppage? Because I think that Ohara Davies there's no doubt in my mind, he's going to not try and outbox Jack Catterall, and if he does try to outbox him, I think he'll be an edge behind throughout. I think Ohara Davies needs to cut down the range, the space between them, and work early doors with big shots to the body to slow Catterall's feet down and shut off his movement. The thing is, Catterall, as I've found already when I went up with Mark McRae, he has excellent movement. He changes angles. He's very unpredictable. When you're trying to nail him down, he moves left, right. He's strong with both hands, and like I say, his head movement for a tall guy, well, certainly at the weight, he's a tall guy, make it very, very difficult to nail him down. And I think you might see Ohara trying to land more and more sort of clumsily on Jack Catterall, and Jack Catterall opting to outbox him for the majority of the fight. If Ohara could pull it off, I'd be very happy for him. I mean, he trains and he's a good friend of Barry Smith, who's at the West Ham gym that I frequent. Got a lot of fighters in there, and I'd be very happy for him if he won. And I think he'd even admit himself he's up against it here. He really needs to deliver on the night. And the thing is, when you punch like he does, there's always that possibility that if he lands that big shot, anything can happen. But good luck to him. Like I say, in terms of betting, I'm going to go Catterall either late or on points, probably on points, because I don't think he's got quite the advantages that Josh Taylor had over Ohara Davies. But enjoy the fight, and I'll see you very soon, guys. Cheers for watching, and give us a subscribe if you enjoyed the blog. Thank you. Cheers.